Damn it, universe. Do you know what I just did? I deleted a whole fucking recording. And I just did it. I manually did it. And there's no, are you sure you want to delete this recording? Prompt message that came up after I hit accidentally delete. And the funny thing is I didn't hit accidentally. I looked at the delete option and I was like, oh yeah, delete. Ah, fuck. Well, look, now I gotta be at work in, 20 minutes. Well, okay, I gotta be at work in 40 minutes. But still, that's not enough time. I mean, here are all the things that I got into, which we'll now get into again after I get back from work. How falling in love with my comic book guardian angel has opened the door for me as a candidate in female friendship. Yeah. What I did give my sister for her birthday. I thank the universe for a few things. I talk about collateral damage and what we do. How you can't be a fucking scientist if you aren't willing to kill the goddamn mice. Talk about my new friends on TenHUnsRye. Talk about reasons why I'm doing this that include grandiosity, moving from suicidal to embracing life, the idea that accountability is vanishing and that I want to at least stand up as one accountable motherfucker in this universe of fuckery. We get into some other shit too. Black Widows. I don't know. God damn it. Damn it. Felt like I was pretty damn charming in that last 37 minutes of blah, 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 blah. But now that we've done 101 seconds of this blah, 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 I'm going to cry about what I just deleted on accident, and then we'll get back to this after I get back from work. And hey, it's only 2:37 in the afternoon, so there's plenty of time when I get home from work to do this all over again, because I'll be back from work at like 8:30. I know, how great is it to be able to walk to work? I love it. So I hope you're loving life as much as I am, because right now I couldn't be on more of an upswell in the grand universe of, man, I love life. So happy Friday to you too, mofos. It is June 22nd. It is June 21st. Check that. The year is supposedly 2024, but we know that's all bullshit. And I am now on my way to work so that I can buy something other than rice to eat and pay my phone bill and pay my heat and pay my... who else I got to pay? I got to pay my fixer. I got to pay my bookie. Got to pay... yeah. I got people I got to pay. So, while I figure out what my list looks like, well, you go have a happy Friday, and we'll get back at this in about, 6 hours. Stop. Am I stopping? No, I'm not. We'll look for the edit button after this. Oh, wait, we don't edit this. We just leave it in so that you can suffer. Just like me. Pause. Pause, maybe? Or, hello, universe. Whatever the fuck it is. I know this much. It's the 22nd of June. It is 1:47 in the p.m. here in Mountain Standard Time, Denver, Colorado. Location northwest territory of that city, where I can walk 2 blocks to work and talk into my Galaxy S7 and communicate with you. Is this an S7? Might be an S8. Whichever phone I use these days to communicate to you. Well, the only real trouble I have with is the pause button, as we learned earlier, and over-disclosure. I also have problems with people who only listen to me at regular speed, because you're losing lifetime that you can get back simply by finding the playback device button that allows you to get to, say, playback speed of 1.75 to 2.0, 2.75, wherever you can be comfortable with it. But I talk slowly, and only I speak. So hearing me in diatribe is like listening to nothing you could possibly come up with is comparable to listening to me. But if you're going to do this, then you need to speed me up. I promise you'll be able to do it. I promise it'll get you time in your life back, which is just free time you can use any way you want. Those are promises I can keep, and I only make promises I can keep. That's why those are the only 2 promises I think I've made in 20 years. Okay, on to other subjects. Wait, what subjects are we on to? I know I have a list, but there was something else I was going to talk about before I got all swamped by my list. And maybe that was, should I make something up on the spot just to be, okay. This isn't on my list because until yesterday I don't know that I could have made my list, and that is, I was ready for a stupidly easy job. When I was in college, I was always jealous of the people who their work-study jobs turned into things like sitting at the front desk asking people for their ID to get into the library while they read their fucking homework. It's just like, I didn't have the contacts to get that kind of job, right? What I ended up doing was like working at a wilderness school for 3 solid months in the summertime to earn barely enough money to fund my work study account obligation, and then during the school year work at the deli in the fucking worst fucking position, which was oven cook in the deli, which means I had a toaster oven to work with. It wasn't the worst job because it was hot or fucking anything. It was the worst job because the sandwiches took 5 minutes to make, and there was always a line of like 40 sandwiches to make. It was terrible. But then I actually learned I could apply my work study to jobs in town. So what I do, I got a job at Baskin Robbins, damn it. Because obviously I've just never really had a relationship with meaningful work that looked either advantageous or easy or like, I wonder who that guy knows, that kind of stuff. No, I was always the guy saying, well, we have 2 kinds of cones. We have the traditional cone and we have the cake cone. And then we have a waffle cone if you want to go crazy, but that's a 2-scoop cone. Right? Those are the kinds of stupid shit fucking things I picked up in the workplace. So, leaving Home Depot, even though that was a catastrophe of the personal kind, it was, in retrospect, something I needed to fucking do. That job's terrible. That job is fucking horrible. I've run into 2 people who have had that job as well, that are ex-employees now. Neither of whom got fired, but both of whom quit on the spot. And it's just a fucking terrible job. So if you're thinking about applying to Home Depot, here's what I'm going to say. A, you're going to get hired, and B, you're going to hate the fucking job. So it's up to you. As I always say, everything in life's up to you. Never ever take what someone else is telling you as something that now you understand. If you think now, because of my experience and even some collateral experiences that I'm telling you about, you have an opinion about what it is like to work at Home Depot, well then fuck you, because you don't. What you know is that going in, there are warning signs. One of the warning signs about any job is, well, what do current employees think of working there? That doesn't mean it in any way insinuates the experience you're going to have working there. Just to be clear, and this is what information is about today. Figure it out yourself. That's it. Gather information going in so that you have some idea which way you think you might have to parry and dodge, but be ready for a full-blown assault and be ready for all tailwind. In fact, reverse the order on that, because always be ready for all tailwind. You never know what's going to catch you exactly in the specific situation, time, and space that you need to be gotten. And jobs can do it. And so follow your instincts, trust your instincts, but never trust other opinion as if you've earned it. You haven't. Should I pause there? I feel a little cranky. I better pause and take a bong hit. Pause. Pause. Okay, yeah, I admit it. I was $15 ahead enough that I could go down and get myself 1 nice ounce of sativa junkie. And yes. Oh my God, is life better when you're high? Pause. Well, alright, pause. Well, that was an actual pause for a cough. And you're welcome, that was the whole pause cause initial. Oh boy, here we go. Alright, drinking me water we did. Okay, here's the thing. The first one on the list is the one that I don't want to do. Because this just got recorded and then deleted. Duh. My fault entirely. Because this came out in the flow of conversation, and again trying to describe the difference between Lily and her guardian angel status in my true life versus comic book guardian angel and her status in my comic book life, and why the comic book life is relevant, and how it became in the last 2 or 3 months a point of, or actually a counterpoint of emphasis in the negative space of the people I'm meeting now in positive space. I know this sounds fucking outlandish, and that's why I didn't, this wouldn't make a bulleted list of shit I'm thinking about. But it was a really good point, and I still stand behind the logic and point of it. But this wouldn't make a list of stuff that I'm bringing to the meeting. But if in the flow of the meeting, this was in our takeaway of the notes, I'd be like, yeah, glad I came up with that. So what do I do here? How do I try to recreate the magic of introducing a point that's clumsy if I try to introduce it as a point of emphasis in reality instead of as a transient point across the comic book universe? How do I do this? Is Wolverine around? Can I talk to him? I need somebody with some cross framework in the whole fictional universe satire Life of Pi kind of thing. I don't know. I never saw Life of Pi. That's one of those movies that sits in my movies I never watched list. And then I think, fuck it. I'll watch fucking Deadpool 2 again. Oh, I gotta stop watching Deadpool 2. But that movie is fucking funny. Man, I wish I'd have thought that movie and funny together make money. Funny money movie. I am high. Pause. Unpause. Okay. If I'm going to explain this, it comes out like this. I don't deny that I fell in love with my comic book guardian angel. I can't deny it. That happened to me. And now, as that sits completely unrequited, to the point we never went on a date, we only had dinner together once, we worked together, and it was, see, I can't go all in on that. This is why this is a clumsy point. The dreams themselves, okay, here's all the interpretations of the situation that I can give you. The reason the whole thing exists in the comic book world is because I had premonition dreams. The same fucking dream would be me and a group of people. The group of people was always different. There was always a dog, but it was never my dog, and it was always a different dog. These were the things in the dream. These are examples of what I'll just call hyper-lucid dreams. Because it's not like you come to realize that you have lucidity within the dream world. It's that you start the dream in a hypersensitive state. You know you're in lucid dream world. And this dream happened to be repetitive. And it happened to be apocalyptic. All of this stuff had been happening to me for years. 3, 4, 5 years. I've been having this dream. And enough that I was looking for camaraderie online about it. Like, it was too specific. And it was too real. I'm so glad I don't have this dream anymore. Because it's easily the most perplexing puzzle that never solved itself. Well, they just stopped happening. And I did find a Navy fucking shipman and some dude in Australia who described almost identical dreams. And I started thinking that this was perhaps some sort of quantification, some premonition coming among the people. That's how it felt. I know this is fucking crazy. I'm just willing to admit the feeling and depth of what my other dream life presents to me, which can be overwhelming in this world. Just so we're clear. I don't detach from these things, but I also consider it, if anything, feeble-minded to allow them to have the tug that sometimes I give them. I'm trying to be as open as I can be about the contextual reality that my dream life gives me, because it's also given me great advantage. So I listen to it. But in this circumstance, we were always approaching what looked like a blown away landscape where somebody had constructed a level of minor tent, tarpy existence. And all you could see was the sort of top of the hill area where there was, a drop behind it. It was the same circumstance that we were walking on every time. I recognized the air. What was weird about it is the sky, whatever was in the sky didn't look like the sun. It looked like the moon, but it was bright red. And not bright red. It was blood. It wasn't blood red. It was like, I don't know. The red is particular too. The thing that was this very most specific thing was the density of the air. You could feel the air was heavy. You could just feel it breathing it in. It was as if there was heavier air. All of this shit's going on, right? And we walk up to this encampment, and there are some people doing something. Sometimes they were cooking. Sometimes they were stoking a fire. Sometimes they were just looking at a map. I mean, whatever. People were sitting at a table or doing something in this area. And they would look at us with sort of a not disgust, but like a defensive stare or a posture of go away. And then there was like a curtained off, and curtained isn't the word, but the way that the door opened was like you pulled back this tarp, and this woman would appear from that area, and she'd say, "You have to move along. There's nothing for you here." Or there's nothing for you here. You have to move along. I can't remember the order now. It's been a while since I've had the dream, but I've got it written down. Like I could go get the specifics right now. And this woman was always the same. And this is the fucking woman that I work with at Home Depot. And you can't tell me it's not, because I've tried to tell myself it's not. Like I have gone down that bridge so far that I have deluded myself to say, I am crazy. But I know what I saw. I know what my reaction to her was the very first time I saw her. And I know the other time this has happened exactly who I was dreaming about. And it's just, this is the insanity that I brought into the circumstance. All of this, right? So when I say I fell in love with this person, I can't feel more programmed to do it. And because it's so far and above any other magnetic attraction I've ever had in the universe of this existence here on this planet, including thinking I'd run into my soulmate Nicole already. Still believing that. I'm not diminishing that existence. But this far superseded that. So, now that I've been that clear, the female friendship that I've been integrating with around my neighborhood, while I've had breakfast made for me 3 times, I've turned down sex twice. And I haven't had sex yet. Except for with a tennis friend about 4 months ago, who I just could not help getting a little too drunk with. Doesn't matter. Point is, a one-night stand, and then a 1 week further date that I said, no, I don't want to do this with you anymore. Followed by several breakfasts, all of which I turned down sex except one. And I've never turned down sex. Ever! That I can think of. Maybe a couple times I can probably come up with if I really think about it. But this isn't me at all. And this has been me after what happened at Home Depot. Because the reason that I can't move forward with anybody in like just a physically lusty capacity is because I understand for the first time ever what potential sits out there. And if my comic book guardian angel's the top of the heap and I never meet anyone as great, I won't be disappointed in life that I was willing to look for something that good. I got to see myself blown away by the potential of the person I was meeting. And I'm just not going to feel like settling for anything else is worth it. So, it's been a lot of fun meeting the neighborhood women, but I don't want to just live a vacuous life again. Not when there's purpose to be had, right? So that's really why I didn't want that one on the list. But that, I think, covers it about as well as I can. So, I'll pause. I might find myself going to that junky sativa drawer, and then we might be back for more. Well, we'll be back for more either way, but whatever. You get where I'm at. Pause. Unpause. Okay. So that clears that one up. The first one. Well, okay, and what, obviously that's why it makes you a candidate for female friendship. If you're not sleeping with women, then you can definitely be their friend. That friend that they wonder, why the fuck does this guy not want to fuck me? That guy. Yep. That's available. Okay, so the next on the list was why I do this. Okay, for one, because I don't make up my suicidal gesture as something that doesn't represent my real self. It was a corner of contempt for myself first, but the world at large second. And if you're grounded in anarchy, well, it's hard to find a purpose in this life, obviously. But, and again, this is where it's a little unfair. I get it. How the fuck could I find purpose when I was sitting in my hole of anarchy in the first place? I don't really know. I don't know why. And it started in my dream world. I do not know why I started having revelationary level dreams, where I would wake up understanding that in spite of what perhaps I saw as a chaotic universe of non-consequence, that you could still be a better person and enjoy the ride better. Like, these are options too. Even if I wanted to, dissolve my puddle of misery with my own tears, then, fucking do your thing. But if that's your choice, it's a choice. And that started to make some sense to me. But my dreams were the place that started to erupt as a potential avenue I wasn't thinking of. I didn't find these cues in the real universe. But then, as I started to apply a couple of better versions of myself in situations in which either version of myself could emerge, but consciously find myself opting for the better me, well, I started to have some standards reemerge, I suppose, from within and say, all right, maybe having some lines that we don't cross are of value. And if that's the role that my comic book guardian angel played for me, is to show me that I don't just have value, I have extreme worth. And an extreme worth that either is met or is in the process of evolving in capacity in which to be met. And that means there's this whole opportunity for friendship that didn't exist. Women. Because apparently I don't want to fuck them all for once in my life. That's a good change. Promise me. Or promise me. You don't have to promise me shit. I'll promise you. If you ever get to the point that you don't have to fuck every woman, it's a good place to finally arrive. I'll tell you that. Pause. So how that gets you from suicidal to embracing life? Well, the point is, if you're suicidal, then in most ways you think you're the problem. And if you're suicidal because you cannot rid yourself of the negative imagery of what you've been through, then you're not suicidal, you're broken. And broken people exist. And they exist because they're experiencing the hardness of life in the most hardship-driven way possible. But what broken people really need to find is the kernel inside themselves that realizes that it really isn't their fault. And that's almost impossible to do when you're broken. So it still doesn't mean suicide works. You'll be right back here to experience the same brokenness. And I don't mean to be pessimistic, but that's exactly what does happen. So those who choose suicide out of self-reflection of failure and some sense of moral self-implosion, bullshit. I mean, seriously, honestly, you are just lost in the soup of messaging around you. You need to spend 15 weeks in the woods by yourself thinking about who the fuck you really are, and then come down here and start acting that way and find out how not suicidal you are. But to do that in reality, with all the hang-ups and entanglements life offers, well, simplify your life first. Suicide is an instinct. It's not it's a frame of mind. It's a paradigm. But it's one you can erase from reality today. If you'll just say, I will persist in life. Fuck this. I'll do life on my terms. But it's going to mean hurdling a bunch of shit. And in some cases, you will hurdle something and think, holy fucking shit, I'm out of energy. I can't do this. I'm fucking leaving this place. Okay, you will do this. And you'll be wrong then too. Because it takes about a week after you've overcome something monumental to understand yourself from far enough away to see that, holy shit, I got that fucking done. Because you think you've been taxed to your limit. You feel like Indiana Jones who just got out of the motherfucking cave. There better not be a fucking 70 spearmen waiting over that hillside. I ain't got energy for that. Right? But what you find out is if you just lay low after jumping out of that cave for a while and don't think about what's in front of you, but recover, you start to be impressed with yourself. And what's good about that is when you do get up, you do have 70 fucking spearmen looking at you. But now you think, okay, wait, this isn't even necessarily as bad as what I've just been through. Fuck these motherfuckers. I can just outrun them. Bam, off you go. Which you can't. And so you start to see that not only can you overcome hurdles, you can momentously overcome them. Because after you outrun this dude, and then your fucking plane dude isn't ready because he's parked in the middle of a goddamn pond, so now you gotta swim with a goddamn piece of gold that is the size of a goddamn piggy bank? Fuck this. But you can do it because you haven't run out of energy, because all you had to do to figure out problem number 2 was run. So into your knapsack that motherfucker goes, and off to somehow outswim pound to weight to water ratios you go, and somehow you're on the pontoon boat. Or wait, did the other dude steal the idol from you? See, that part of life sucks. When you realize that you get all the way to the boat and you did it all for nothing. But you never do anything for nothing, because getting to the boat means you can turn around and go, motherfucker, look what I did. Okay, so I dropped the motherfucking idol. We all make mistakes. But look what I did. Right? And I know when you're suicidal, that's a long way from reality. But Indiana Jones is a pretty good movie. It holds up all right. So if you have to rewatch it, rewatch it. And think of yourself not as necessarily the courageous motherfucker that solves all problems, but as one who, even in spite of dropping the idol or giving it to the French dude or whatever the fuck happens in life, you still overcome shit all the time. And if you can focus that energy in a way that you start overcoming the shit that's holding you back, it doesn't matter how hard you hurdle over one mountain. Recover, realize who you are, untapped potential that is limitless. Turn around and face up. And face up in ways that you know you're fixing your life for the good. You know what these things are because you know inside your head what's nagging you the most. Work on those. But work on it knowing you're a goddamn superhero. Because you are one. So when I think of doing this, I think, who can I give the gift of knowing that you have great untapped potential awaiting you to discover? Well, hopefully everyone, because you all should hear it. Pause. Okay, I'm paused. Number 2 on my list of why I do this, because accountability in this universe has turned into dog snot. You know what I'm saying? Like the snithers that a pug has when it's all up on you on the couch and shit. So what I'm thinking is, if we can just stop thinking accountability is something of moral character submission, some sort of admission of weakness. Fuck that. Accountability is a sign of, you know what I did? I fucked this up and I don't give a shit what you react to it because I'm still me, motherfucker. Accountability is strength. So when I say the 5-6 things I said about myself toward my sister yesterday, that's just the top of the list. And I'm not going to sit around stewing in the juice that is all the shit I did wrong to my sister. But believe me, if that was something that was some sort of retribution that I felt in another life, I'd understand where the fuck it was coming from. I've been down my road of what transgressions I feel toward my sister have done to corrupt my soul road as far as I can go, because I wasn't going to stop once I realized that road existed. That level of dark work is what you have to do if you really want to be comfortable with who you are. Because I've hurt my sister in ways that are unreasonable. And since I know my capacity is there to do that, the better me knows I can't feel these sorts of recriminations internally and act them out in a way that causes damage to my sister ever again. Those options have to be foreseen. And if I somehow, in retrospect, look back and think, how did I end up hurting my sister with these actions? I would run to her and apologize in some capacity to say, I can't believe these things fell out of what I thought was a situation I'd already seen through and you were safe. How else can I live with my sister except to know that I'm always in mode protect her first? That's what I have somehow lost sight of somewhere back in my past. Now, do I like telling you that? Fuck no, man. That's like, come on, man. A lot of big brothers get that shit from day one, and it's never in question, nor is it ever threatened, because it's always on display. Right. Those are not your journeys of learning. They're mine. And I'm not embarrassed, ashamed, or upset that I fucked up learning in some monumental ways in the classes that I took. I did not get straight A's this time around. But self-realization about the things I now see to be better with are empowering, as they should be. So stand tall, I do, but stand corrective, I do as well. So accountability to me matters. And while I can, I want to display as much accountability as I can. I also said I do this because I fear these are times of great purpose. Perhaps I do that myopically or with some sense of grandiosity, or perhaps just being overzealous. I understand this. And I don't quarrel with it anymore because I hope I'm wrong. I don't want to be right. I don't want to think that the world is on the precipice of some level of serious reckoning, of which there's a group of us here to be witness to this promulgation. I don't even know what's coming. But I do feel like there is, of consequence, an instance of time, space, continuum that is here in our destiny, in our immediate future, at least in my lifetime, which to me is right now. So act as I do toward the universe at large, as I will, which is to be kind, understanding, forgiving, and listening, with an emphasis on taking care of whatever I can to help my family. And I will live this way until I finally go, thank God I was wrong about all that apocalypse shit. And then bam, in comes the flood, and I go, I wasn't wrong, but I'm dead. All right. I could see that being the life I signed up for. Because that's the kind of drama queen I am, right? Let's face it. If I'm going to go out, I mean, let's go out at my last breath, but have the water be the reason, so that when they do the whole fucking Quincy Corner MD thing, when they go back and try to figure out my cold case in like 3,000 million years, and I'm that fossilized thing that goes, I was right. They'll be able to read that in my chromosomes. That'll be so cool. I look forward to it. All right. I had to thank the universe. Yep. I definitely thank the universe. I thank the universe for the random Black Widow conversation. Do you know what it's like to have somebody ring the doorbell and they're wearing some sort of insignia on their shirt and it says something like EAS Systems Incorporated, and you walk out there and you go, oh my God, what the fuck are they going to try to sell me? And the dude says, hey, I just got a question. You got any problems with Black Widows? And I said, you're here to talk about Black Widows? So we had like a 15-minute conversation because nobody comes to my door and asks me about Black Widows. Oh my God. Thank you, universe. That was fucking awesome. And also the job's working out. I like it. So thank the universe for that. All right. I didn't give my sister much, but I did give her the recording that is the one before this for her birthday. And while I know in some ways that's a long overdue, maybe birthday gesture, I still try to expose that which in working time I'm in no way near escalated toward elevation, toward enlightenment. I'm somewhere down more in the basement that you flip the light switch and you think, oh, is that even working? Where's the light switch for this room? It's, that's more where it's been and where it probably is now, if I'm being fair. So as I try to find ways to rehabilitate myself against my past transgressions, sometimes I have to expose to you things that matter to me so that the world, universe, and everything at large can see that among us all it matters, but it matters to move forward more than it matters to say, I'm sorry. But I am sorry. All right, my new friends on Tennyson Street. I'm making a lot of new friends. That's good. We'll just call that enough covered. And there's collateral damage in all we do. Don't become a scientist if you aren't willing to do the mice killing that comes with it. Whew. I don't know if I want to talk about that one on my way to work. That one's heavy. That one's kind of the one I ended with, and it's a big point. And honestly, it's in some ways the narrative that emerges from within the structure. If you are willing to see the limitations the structure imposes, you will come down to see at some point we're all both liable and on the hook for, and that's the same thing. That's not what I mean. But we're all liable and morally culpable for the mouse killing, no matter what we say. And that's just the way structure is built. And in some ways that takes our soul and leaves us in a less, I'll say in a more hardened, less vulnerable, less exposed, less available space. And vulnerable and exposed imply weakness. I don't mean that. I just mean that in a natural soul enriching state, you are vulnerable and exposed. That's what souls are. And that you can't be that here without being perceived as weak or being frankly trodden upon. Well, that's why I don't want to get into it all right now. But I probably covered it pretty well right there. So if I don't get back to it with all the gusto that I got to it the first time, well, lesson learned. When you delete shit in life that you really wished you had saved, well, I don't know. You lose something in there, don't you?